I think science and spirituality are beginning to converge, although I have a bit of a problem with the word spirituality because it has so many meanings that it's always difficult to know exactly what somebody thinks they mean by that word. What I mean by spirituality is something of an internal sense that there's something more. There's something like a connectivity between me and the rest of the universe in some meaningful way, not a trivial way, but a meaningful way. So is science moving in that direction? Well, in some ways, science has always recognized that everything is always interconnected. But because of the nature of science, that as soon as you start studying one thing, you recognize that it's always connected with everything else, if by no other reason than just gravity connects everything. But everything is also interdependent, and you can't study everything all at once. So science has been very good at sort of slicing up the world into little pieces and then diving deeply down each little piece, and that becomes a discipline. So it takes 20 to 30 years for somebody to become an expert in their discipline, and you learn a huge amount about a very thin piece of the universe. And it's very easy to forget that that piece actually is still connected to everything else. We conveniently forget it because you kind of have to, and it gives rise to jargon and different styles and all kinds of different things among the different scientific disciplines, which creates something which is ultimately a whole system, but it becomes fractured into thousands of disciplines. You can see this very clearly by doing a search on journals that are published. There are probably 10,000 or more scientific journals. And even sometimes disciplines that you think would be close together, if you can't read one journal and then look to the other one because the language is different. The terms that are used are different. The statistical models, almost everything becomes different. Different people are involved as well. So how can science begin to study something as vaguely defined as spirituality, meaning connectivity, and remain science? It's not an easy issue. So the closest that we probably have right now is something like systems science, or the science of complex systems, dynamical systems. This is now trying to embrace the idea that things really are interconnected and interdependent, and yet still fall within something that we can call science, something that involves mathematical modeling and prediction and empiricism and all the rest. So in the long term, I see that yes, there's a convergence, but it's more like it's less of a convergence between two separate things and more a growing recognition that in order to understand complex systems within science, you have to have a broader and broader perspective. And at some point, that perspective will include what we currently call spirituality.